put their heart and soul into the game with a vision of winning for themselves and their country. They put in countless hours perfecting their skills while making so that they will taste victory. These are our athletes, and now it's time to meet them up close.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Up Close with yours truly, Colin Thompson. Well, today, folks, we've got another treat in store for you because we've been able to catch up with another one of our legends, the one and only Mr. Melvin Bean.
Yes, sir.
Who's back on the island for a minute, and we were very fortunate to pin him down, something that many defenders couldn't do back in the day. Mr. Bean, welcome to the show.
Welcome. I'm thankful, brother.
Glad to have you. Now, before I go any further, I know it's a bit of a solemn occasion.
Yeah.
Because you did come back for your brother.
Yes.
Another one of our legends, Ralph.
True legend. Yeah.
He's passed, so first and foremost, my condolences.
Yes, sir.
To you
Thank you.
And the family. And, obviously, you've got a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Not only of yourself, but playing with your brother.
Sure.
But let's start at the beginning. Where did this journey in football begin for you?
Well, we have to give all props to the legend because I came behind a lot of great football players in my family. First of all, I have an uncle that was a prominent football player back in the day. His name is Scorchy Baxter, Cyril Scorchy Baxter. And he got his name Scorchy from football. And then it was my brothers. I had my brother Raymond, he played, Lord bless his soul. And then Arthur Bean, who is the first Gumbo, and then Ralph, who is the second Gumbo, and then myself. And then you have Ralph's son, who is the third Gumbo. So there's a lot of football in the family, and I'm just proud to be a member of the family.
So they had nicknames, Scorchy, Gumbo. What was your nickname?
Well, I was just mad in the beginning, and first a few people started calling me Gumbo, but, eventually I grew to get my own character, you know what I mean? And for some reason, Skilla Bean, like for skillful players. So Skilla Bean was my nickname. And up to today, I'm known to certain people as, hey, Skilla Bean.
Now, you all grew up where did you grow up to?
Well, we from my recollection, we were at Dundonald Street, Court Street area, Dundonald Street, and then we moved over to Roberts Avenue. And basically, over Roberts Avenue is where I grew up. And my brother Ralph had played for Social Club, but he didn't have a long stint there. And when we moved over toward Devonshire, Roberts Avenue area, he ended up playing for the Devonshire Lions with a few guys, Donnie Hill, Cyril Steed, these guys, Geese Parsons, these guys. And they were a championship team at Devonshire Lions. And then after that, the story's been told before, but I won't go into full detail, but he was going to training one day for North Village, and now the Colts guys wanted him also. But Joe Trutt intercepted him, and they had a conversation, and he ended up at Village. So that was how he started at Village. And then me now, coming up as a junior player, as a peewee, mini minor bantams, I'm following in my brother's footsteps. He was my hero up until now. So therefore, I ended up going to North Village. So I was fortunate to play with a lot of great players at North Village. The Deal brothers, the twins, the Colin twins, the Hollis, my cousin Dickie Hollis, and Haile Malacott, Ronald Eastman, and all these guys, man. I mean, we're at North Village. Kingsley Todd, Charlie Emery, Lord bless his soul. All these guys were at North Village. So we ended up playing juniors together and ended up later going to university together. Yeah, the first black public college called Cheney State University. There was Kingsley Todd, Charlie Marshall, Charlie Emery, Lord bless his soul, and myself. Yeah, and we got a bit of success out there too that still remains untouched. Records untouched today. Wow. It's a blessing.
Interesting. You mentioned about growing up Roberts Avenue, right?
Roberts Avenue.
Of course, up in that area is where the carpet is, right?
Uh-huh.
So as a youngster, I'm sure you used to walk across and say, one day I'm going to be out there.
You know what?
I'm going to be out on that pitch showcasing my talents one day.
You know what? I'll highlight that because we live so close to the carpet. We used to go up there and play on the side, and the groundsman would often race us off the field. But because the carpet was the carpet, it was the type of grass that you would lie down on and go to sleep. It was so nice. That's why I got the name the carpet. So, we would go there often, us from the neighborhood, and have a little match up there until we got scattered to leave. So yeah, we were so close and we took advantage. So once we got that taste as youngsters in the neighborhood, we knew one day we're coming back here and play.
Now you played your position as a youngster. What did you start? Did you start out in the same position as a forward or?
Okay, at first I started out as a midfield player, and then between the midfield and the wing. And then eventually they would play me up front also. So as I got older, they would play me anywhere across the front where they felt necessary to put me. And I didn't mind because as long as I was playing, you know what I mean? So whether I was playing in the midfield or up on the wing or striker, made no difference to me.
Gumbo, same.
Well, for Ralph, it was the same. He can play anywhere forward, and he was most deadly anywhere on the wing or up front. So at times, he would go to the match and, hey, you're on the left or you're on the right or you're playing up front, no problem, So we were both similar in that, wherever we're playing, we're content.
So he used to give you a lot of, was he like a mentor as well as your brother?
Man, he was the mentor. He was so humble, man. You understand? First of all, he was a friend. He's a brother. He was one of the humblest people I've ever met, Colin. You know what I'm saying? On and off the pitch. One of the most level-headed people I've ever met. And when it came to competing, he was a fierce competitor. Fierce competitor. Any jersey he put on, he gave his all every time. So, that trickled down to me. That competition. I remember times we would be playing with a tennis ball in my mom's kitchen. And he would be in that doorway and I'd be in the other doorway. And that's the girls. And he'd beat me every time. Youngster coming up. But I'm like, come on, let's play again. Let's play again. I'm going to get you this time. And, that brought the fierce competitiveness out of me. He did. My brother, Ralph Gumbo Bean, yeah.
Any other childhood memories you have playing young youth football, coming up back in the day?
Well,
stand out in your mind?
Yeah, I was fortunate and blessed enough to, my first tour to represent Bermuda. And it's strange you mentioned that because they talk about caps in England, where I live. And if I deserve any caps or if any player deserves any caps, that's like each time you play for Bermuda, you're representing your country. Is that right? So that's a cap. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, if that's the case, I must have over 100 caps. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've been playing for Bermuda since I was 15. I've been playing football. My first division game, I was illegal. The story goes like this. I was going to Berkeley Institute. I'm not going to name the players who snitched on me, but because they're good friends of mine, but they played for Devonshire Goats. But anyway, we say no more. But the story goes like this. My first match, I was 15 years old going to Berkeley, and these other brothers were ahead of me. And Jerry Swan was our gym teacher. And the first match, we played Devonshire Goats. One of our players, Stanley Hockey Ingham, had just left North Village to play for Goats. So the night game at PAT came, and I'm playing my first match. So I got lucky and out-jumped Lorenzo Simons to score a header. And I was running, and like our Courage Bell used to run the whole field. I was running, I was so excited, my first goal. And I remember Guys were trying to hold me back to congratulate me, you know, my teammates. And my brother Gumbo said, let him go, man. Let him go. Let him get it out. Man, I ran like Bum Bear. But, man, the early days, I was the captain. First of all, I went to Puerto Rico. Joe Trott and Denver Seymour were the youth team coaches at that time. 1976, we went to Puerto Rico. And Lance Brown and Randall Willie Baxter were the captains of that team. Colin Painter was a goalkeeper and various other teammates I can go into, whatever. Anyway, we went to Puerto Rico. We came back from that tournament. And because I was the youngest player in that tournament, myself and my roommate, this guy, brother, Kingsley Todd, we were the two youngest. So the following year, we were eligible to play for the youth squad again. So I became the captain, and he was the center half. And we went to Honduras in another youth squad tournament. Later on that year, I was inducted into the national team. So I had just played for the youth team captain and playing for the national team shortly after. We ended up playing various games, qualifying rounds of the Olympics, qualifying rounds of the World Cup. We went to the CAC games, and we won the bronze medal the national team won the bronze medal in the Pan American Games. With George Brangman, Denver Seymour, Joe Trott, Frankie Brewster, Richard and Robert Calderon, Alfred Lambert, Albert Dolan. Oh man, I can go on. Ralph Gumbo Bean, George Brangman, if I didn't call George, you know. Wayne Beaker Richardson, and myself, and youngest player again on the national team. And it's strange because all North Village guys scored in that final against Mexico. And we played Mexico again in the bronze medal game, like we played Mexico here. And I came on and scored the winning goal inside of 4 minutes from the end. You know, so
I remember that. That's one of the proudest moments I ever witnessed in my childhood.
Right.
In Bermuda football. I remember that day, and it was a lot of hype around the tournament because we were very competitive.
Yes.
We had a stellar team. And they lived up to expectations.
Sure.
And the way it all, ended with you coming on and getting that late goal, to.
They say that the people had started to leave the stadium because they figured that we were losing. Well, the score was 1-0. We needed to draw or win to qualify to go to Colombia. And I remember Papilio coming and saying, come on, you got a few minutes. He said, warm up. I said, give me the slip, man. I said, give me the slip. Got no time to warm up. So I tied my laces and went on the field. Bumble Bell jumped up, headed the ball down, and I struck it with the left. And the rest is history. People were running back inside the stadium because they heard the cheers from everybody inside because they were leaving, yeah? So that was beautiful. And Bermuda got around the team. They supported football back then. You understand? Back then, that was the old National Stadium. I have pictures. The whole bank was crowded. You couldn't even see the grass. You understand what I'm saying?
I was there on the grass with my family.
Hello.
My parents took me to the game.
To be straight, bro.
And it was just such an atmosphere. It was just such a great era. The football standard was high.
Yep.
The attendances were high, and the hype. I mean, I remember you had to see the game. You had to catch it on the news, the sports. You had to listen to the TV shows they had back then.
Well, let's make a plea, Colin.
Or talking sport,
Let's make a plea, brother. If someone has the second half of that match, please make it available because a lot of us are trying to get it. And for some reason, we're able to get the first half of Bermuda versus Mexico, but not the second half where all the action lies.
And the film crew had packed up. They thought it was done and dusted. They packed up. Perhaps.
You see what happens when they throw the towel in too quick. That's what happens. Never say die.
So that was definitely a problem for you in your career. And up on the carpet. That same carpet.
Same carpet we kicked on as young boys.
Yeah.
That they chased us off.
They weren't chasing you that day.
They couldn't chase us there. No.
What other memories you got up there? You know, because you won some silverware
And
during your time.
when I left North Village, brother Colin, I had won every trophy twice. When I left North Village, and if I hadn't won them twice, I had one FA, I had 2 friendships, 2 Dudleys, 2 Mortimers. So basically everything in first division I had already won when I went over to join Vasco. And then we end up winning more trophies at Vasco. Like we end up winning the friendship again, Dudley Eve again, stuff like that, Mortimer again, whatever. FA. So end up winning, double, like 2 trophies, 2 FAs and all that. So therefore I had, like I said, when I left Village, I had won everything in first division. So basically it was like looking for a challenge when I went to Vasco. And it was a beautiful challenge. It was a good atmosphere, very good atmosphere. Leaving North Village, and even though I left a lot of sad people because you're leaving the village, but Village was my home,
Did you leave together or did you?
No, Ralph went first.
He went first.
Ralph was the exodus. Ralph paved the way for everybody. Gumbo.
Blame it on Gumbo.
Gumbo was the hot commodity. So when Gumbo went over, I followed the year after because I said, I'm going to help my brother play with my hero. So I'm going over to play with my brother. And like I said, I had won all the other trophies, so I was looking for a challenge. And Denver Seymour, man, he's a great man. Great man, great coach, great teammate. And
So he was influential in that move.
very influential. Denver's used to call me in university and say, how you doing, man? And I said, I'm good, Danny. He said, listen, can you travel this Wednesday? And I said, sure. He said, listen, the replay is on Wednesday. You go to the Eastern check-in and pick up your ticket. And we'd have someone from Vasco or whatever pick you up at the airport. And 3 times in a row, we had 3 replays against the Cougars up at Somerset. And the final replay, Gumbo sunk him. Gumbo struck a ball from way out on the wing and caught Colin Jennings napping. And the ball went roof. And Vasco went on to go in the finals.
Which competition was that?
I think that was the FA Cup, if I'm not sure. FA or Friendship, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
You were in school.
I was in uni at that time. I was in university at Cheney. And, I used to come back home and bring the guys, whatever, little emblems and whatnot from Bermuda, corned beef, tuna fish, because we're living in the dorms, you know what I'm saying? So, come back, bring them little Bermuda, little windbreakers with the little long tail on it and stuff like that. Because it was, like I said, Charlie Marshall, Cup Match Hero, Charlie Emery, respect to, and Kingsley Todd and myself. So, it was that brotherhood of 4 Bermudians together.
That kind of was a bold move back then.
Yeah.
Because players just didn't move around like that back then.
That's right.
You played for your community through and through, throughout your career. That was it.
Yes.
But you guys were sort of like the first to go elsewhere, to move to another club. And I mean, I was a youngster growing up, but from my recollection, it did ruffle feathers.
Yes, sure it did.
It did ruffle feathers, and but what was it like for you guys? Because I'm sure, the people approached you on the side and said, hey, man, you guys lost your mind or something?
Yeah, we did catch a bit of flack. At one time, I caught a lot of flack from my brother, so I'm sure he caught flack from me too. But at one time, before I went over, and he had just went over to Vasco, and he said, yeah, you sold yourselves to the Portuguese, and you're a black Portuguese, and this and that. They would shout all sorts of stuff, out of anger because we left the motherland team, where we had been born and groomed. But eventually they get over it. You know what I mean? Because it's all for the betterment. And it was all for the betterment because during those years, I think football improved a great deal because the competition would started to become level all around the clubs. You know what I mean? Each club was more competitive. So it was a balance in the competition, whereby before one team, this team's going to beat this team, that for sure. But no, the competition was balanced.
Earlier off camera, you mentioned about playing for Village, and you beat Somerset, a mighty Somerset team. Beat St. Gordon and Clyde.
Like that.
Bonnie Bass was in that team.
Yep.
You know, what was that about? What was?
We had a match at Somerset, and if I'm not mistaken, man, we had a dynamite team. But Somerset had, man, they had a nuclear team up there, man, like a nuclear bomb. They had Randy Horton, Bunny Bass, Muscles Hunt, George Brangman, Trix Richardson, Brandon Brangman, oh God, come on. You know, and a few youngsters were just breaking into Somerset's team, like Courage Bow, Trix Richardson, but they had a team. And North Village went up there with Joe Trott, Cracks Robertson, Beal Smith, Harley Malacott, Ronald Eastman is known as, Gumbo, and the twins, whatnot, Punchy Deals, brothers. And we ended up beating them 2-1. And we tamed Randy and Clyde. If they would be honest and recall, we tamed them up at Somerset Cricket Club. And they had the team.
I could hear the burn up. Who, you, we? No, we, not us.
Listen, Randy tried everything in the book, and Wooly and Joe and Harley Malacott stuck to him like chewing gum. Yeah. And Clyde was there too, Burley Clyde, Striker, and they all pulled out the stops. But guess what? For some reason, North Village was solid as a rock that game. And probably because those two generals were playing, Clyde and Randy. So we had to up our game. So they made us play now. You understand? And that's what I liked. I was always a competitor.
And it was up Somerset.
It was up Somerset.
Silver City.
Right in Silver City. Now remember, Somerset had won all 3 trophies at one time. But North Village were defending 2 trophies and then won the Triple Crown the same year. So we were holding all 5 trophies in one season. No other team has ever done that in Bermuda football history. North Village been the only team that's never been relegated. One game against Devonshire Cougars, out Devonshire Rep. I saw smokers smoke and drinkers drink. Non-drinkers drink and non-smokers smoke. Let me get it correct. Because in the last minutes of the match, Donnie Hill took Cal Deal. And Pee-wee said, penalty. And you know, Crockwell, he didn't play back in the day. Anyway, Gumbo, calm as a cucumber, got the ball, put the ball on the spot, walked up to the spot and chalked it away. And the ref blew the whistle. We had to draw or win the match, not to go sack, so we won't get relegated. And we end up drawing. People who didn't drink alcohol had a bottle up to their head. They were so nervous. People were crying, village people. They were crying because they were so nervous. Some people couldn't even watch Gumbo kick the penalty. And the thing is, because North Village was such a team of brotherhood and love and understanding back in that day and friendship, I don't ever remember anybody going up to Gumbo saying, hey, we need this, you know, trying to give him confidence to score. They might have shouted something to him, okay, Gumbo, score this one, whatever. But no one went to him. He was just calm. And when it was time, he put the ball down and just tucked away like nothing. Calm as ever. After the match, the non-drinkers were drinking, the non-smokers were puffing, people were crying. We were on the brink of relegation, but we never been down as a first division.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's
history.
I know that's a fact.
That's history.
Yeah.
What I'm speaking to you about today is history.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It is written, brother.
And it's wonderful history.
It's a blessing, man. I'm fortunate.
And I'm glad that you're here to share that, to relive it.
Hey, it's through you, brother.
To cherish it.
Well, you caught me. I'm about to fly out tomorrow, so I'm glad you caught me, you know. But it's a blessing.
I could show those defenders a trick or two.
Oh,
To pin him down.
Hey.
Actually, you mentioned Bum LaBelle, and it was very moving because I did attend the funeral, and it was very touching, very moving that he was there, dancing
The
Yeah,
Gumbo.
the Gumbos, yes.
Courage and I, we go way back, you see. I'll give you a quick laugh about Courage. You see, Courage is a fierce competitor in anything he does. Love him. Good guy. So we were the national team. We had a match. We were in Caracas, Venezuela. Caracas, Venezuela. And we were supposed to be off our feet because we got a match the next day. Pepe Dio and Roddy Birch were our coaches. Richard Shacktor was the manager. Alroy Rattery was the chef de mission. We're supposed to be off our feet. Right below where we're living, because we were living in the Olympic Village, where all the athletes live, yeah? Surrounded by military police and what have you. Right below our quarters, the Brazilians were beating the Congo drums and the women were down to dance and some of the track women, athletes and stuff. And it sounded very similar to our Gumbos. Right away, we're looking for Courage. And we look out the window and Courage is in the middle of the crowd and the crowd's cheering him on and he's dancing Gumbo. When you look, get up here, man, you gotta get him to her. That's Bumler, man. You understand? A good footballer, good competitor, good friend.
Yes, a great man.
Great man.
A great man.
I salute him.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
And
he danced Gumbos right at my brother's burial. Mm-hmm. So that's touching. You know what I'm saying?
It was
very touching.
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
It was a tribute
in dance. It was a tribute in dance. Yes, it was. And it was humbling. It humbled me, because Courage and Ralph and Gumbo were tight. And Courage and I are also tight. And for him to, do that at that time, it showed. It just touched you.
That whole day was touching, because that same day I buried my daughter.
Have mercy.
And
sorry, my condolence.
Thank you. And your brother's burial was the same day, later that day, because we buried her in the morning.
Right.
And I said, I gotta be there.
Yeah.
Gotta be there.
Sure.
And I did make it.
We thank you. Family,
and it was an honor to be there to pay tribute, to pay homage, not only to a good man, a good friend, but also to his legacy and the North Village legacy. Yes. And it was just so wonderful to see the North Village community, how they came out in force, and the greater community, because it wasn't just village people there.
Vasco.
Yeah, everyone was there.
Because he had stints at Vasco and Spinning Wheel. Tributes came in the bond. Matter of fact, Spinning Wheel are doing, I'm not Spinning Wheel, sorry, Vasco. I was invited there the other night, good friend Eddie Correa, Eddie, and Mr. Pacheco. We had a chat, and they're going to be honoring Ralph Gumbo Bean in a month or so, paying a tribute to him because, like I said, Ralph was, he paved the way for a lot of players that went over. He was like the first, one of the first.
Trailblazer.
Yeah, him and Sheldon Bradshaw, one of the first.
Bully Beef.
Black guys to go over there and play for Vasco.
Wow.
Yeah, and they left, like I said, they left a legacy over there. Yeah, man. Every year we won a trophy. Every year.
And you were part of that legacy.
Hey, I was blessed.
You got to give yourself a pat on the back as well.
I was blessed. I played with a lot of great players. Mm-hmm. They helped me to be the player that I am, that I was. I said I was. I'm not that player today.
Right.
Oh, man.
So you think you were better at Village or at Vasco?
You know what? I'm going to say this. I had great years at Village. But when I went to Vasco, the atmosphere was more of a professional atmosphere. If you can see where I'm coming from, it was more of a professional atmosphere. You understand? And at Village, because Village was a poor club, you don't expect certain things. But at Vasco, you didn't want for anything as a player. You took your boots to the match, and that was it. You didn't have to worry about anything. You were laid out. And the whole aspect was done on a professional level. Not that it wasn't that way at Village, but, it was just a step up at Vasco, So, at Vasco, we had opportunities to just be ourselves and play. You know, just play and
And I
enjoy
think
it.
you're more mature as well.
That
Yeah.
much,
You're at the peak, I think.
you are correct, so much, because our maturity had a great deal to do with it. Because you had a bunch of players that were very mature and that knew their place in the role. You didn't have players that tried to prove anything to the next player or to anyone. You just ran and got your job done. You know your role, stay in your lane, and you're good. And that's how we done it, man. So I played with all the teams I played with. I give all my teammates big respect and accolades because it's through those kind of players that I was able to play at a high level. You know what I'm saying? Our people don't realize that you're only as good as your opponents allow you to be, but then you're only as good as you play with your team also, because your team has a good impact, a strong impact on your performance, you know, especially if you're someone that is looked upon to bring the results, to bring home the goods. Like, you know, they look to me or my brother to bring home the goals. They always look to Gumbo to bring home the goals, and he done it. Religiously, he done it. He done it here. He done it overseas. So it was just great to watch him play. Quick story about Gumbo again. We're playing Trinidad and Tobago in Colombia. Gumbo was very sick with a fever. Calix Darrow used to be the physio for the national team, also the physio for Southampton Rangers.
Yes, Pops Darrow.
Pops Darrow,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
We called him Magic Fingers Darrow because he done some magic on us. And Gumbo had a fever, was so bad, and Pepe and Roddy must have asked him, you know, like, do you think you can make it? Should we exclude you from the starting team or what? Ralph must have told him, look, keep me in the team. And if I can, I'll let you know. You can put me on. And the whole first half, he had a fever, cold chills, hot chills, and Calix Dow was just working on him in the dressing room. So after the first half, checked out Gumbo, and he's coming around a bit. So I had started in his place. They had gave me the starting position. So got late in the match, and Pepe substituted me and brought on Ralph. Ralph was strong enough to come on. But Ralph scored the goal, and then, if I'm not mistaken, George Raymond got the winner, and that was within a couple of minutes. And we ended up winning against Trinidad and Tobago. Right after that, Ralph, he was back on the bat again, weak, and, you know, but he just had enough strength to come on and bring the victory home, and then collapse and be sick again, you know, with a fever. That's the kind of character he was. That's the competitor that he was. That's the kind of team player that he was, coming off of a sick bed to help his team.
How did you cope with those expectations? You know, you guys are there, you're given a role, you know, you're expected to deliver. How did you cope with that pressure? Because you wanna do just that.
You know what, Colin, it wasn't no pressure for me because I was just fortunate enough to play with my big brother. You know, play with my big brother, man. Like I said, Gumbo was always a hero to me. More than a hero, brother, friend, confidant. But when it came to football, man, he was my idol. So to be on the same team as him, I never set that in my achievements. So when I was able to come from North Village Juniors and be inducted into the first division team and actually play alongside of my brother, I was in space, man. So after I got to play a few matches and got acclimatized with the guys and all that, it was just like, you don't want to let them down. So I was always a fitness fanatic. Always. Still am today, like to keep in shape. And that's what helped me a lot too. Not just the natural raw skill and having the science to science out to match the game and stuff, but when everybody's tiring in the last 20 minutes, I'm kicking in another gear. You understand? fitness was always important to me.
And you're still looking in good shape. Look,
Well, I'm
look like
trying.
you can still give me some good minutes on the pitch.
Hey, now take it easy now. Take it easy.
We can use you.
I'll give you about 3. 3 minutes, and then I'll put my hand up. You can take me off.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
One shot.
Hey, I've done it inside of 4 minutes on National Stadium, so twice in a year for Bermuda and for North Village. So 3 minutes is sufficient.
You touched on playing for Bermuda earlier. I'm not sure if you mentioned about captaining. I know you had the honor of captaining Bermuda at youth level.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
1978. Well, we went to Honduras, and that youth team was dubbed the best youth team ever to leave Bermuda, go into a tournament, simply because every player in that youth team was a regular in their club team. So if they were at Somerset, they were a starting player. If they were at Devonshire Coast, they were a starting player, a regular player. And this is the youth team players. They were regulars in their club teams. And you had different teams coming in to play us in preparation of this tournament. Now, we played against the Cosmos. They beat us 3-1 up at PHC. We lost the last against the Cosmos. We lost the last against a few other teams. But the Racing Club of Haiti came on a Christmas tour at Devonshire Rec. And we played them, and they were the champions of the First Division League in Haiti. They were called the Racing Club of Haiti. And we gave them 2-1 out there. Jack Castle and myself scored the goals. And that was just before we went on to the tournament. So we were actually highly dubbed one of the best youth teams to ever leave Bermuda. Yeah.
Who were some of the other players on that team?
You had Owen Emery, Lord bless his soul. Charlie Emery, Lord bless his soul. You had Stevie Riley. You had Kelly Simmons. You had Lucas, they called Bernal Richardson. You had Mikey Rogers. You had Kingsley Todd, my roommate from college. You had Charlie Marshall. You had Porky Manders, the goalkeeper. You had Randolph Darrow, the goalkeeper. I said Charlie Marshall. He was the third goalkeeper. You had George Weller. You had Michael Lopes. You had Peter Ferbert from Devonshire Coast. Oh, God, you had Philip Smith. Have mercy. Have mercy. I mean, all these guys were regulars. Clevie Campbell, he was from Devonshire Coast.
I remember Clevie.
He passed, Lord bless his soul. I mean, every player was a regular player in their first division team. So, you know, and we jowled. And at that time, at the helm of the team was Winston Coach, Trotty and Donald Dane. So if you're looking, Trotty or Mr. Dane, peace out.
That's the main camera there.
Good coaching, good job. Good job. Yeah.
Wow. You know what I admire? Your memory is just so sharp.
Well, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. You know, some people's memory is not this good, so I'm blessed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed. I'm sitting there and I'm like, listen, like you're just telling it like it was actually yesterday.
But you know, when you live certain things, you don't forget. It's like when you learn how to ride a pedal bike, you never forget. You learn how to swim, you never forget. So once you've been a part of certain events, it's locked in. You never forget. Yeah. And plus, I've got all the scraps and newspaper clippings and stuff. Thank you to my sister, Marlene Brown. Thank you, babes. You know, who assisted me so I can reflect if I do forget.
Just to go back to your childhood, you mentioned about before you could go to football, there were some conditions, right? You had to abide by some
Yes, sir.
guidelines,
Yes,
right?
sir. We had to go to St. Monica's Mission Church. That's right. And we had to make sure we went Sunday school. And if necessary, Mom would say, well, stay in church until I get there. And then once Mom came to church and you had already been to Sunday school and you had a little bit of the church service, then Mom would look at you and say, okay, you can go here to the football match now. Because that was the Sunday, see? And the football match was that day, but the stipulation was you got to go to Sunday school. All of us, Randall Baxter, Willie Baxter, now Castle, all of us, we came up at St. Monica's Mission. That was our church. And our mothers made sure we attended church because we had that foundation. You understand? They gave us that foundation from young.
Some of the venues, were some of the old venues still online back then during that time, or were they phased out, like Sports Arena or Gasolina Park?
A lot of matches at that time were at BA, and I've heard stories when I was young how my mom used to wheel me and have to, watch the match from outside BA back in the day. But BA was a venue. Devon Chirac always Devon Chirac. And like I said, at National Stadium, I'll give you a quick scenario once. Myself and Gumbo, Ralph, myself and my brother were playing for the national team. We were playing at National Stadium. I think it was against Tottenham Hotspurs. I don't know if I have that picture for you. Anyway, we were playing, and Mom came to every match. Mom and sisters, they were there, our number one supporters. By the way, my sisters and my mom, they supported us all the way through. So when you look, my mom used to get to the gate up Nationals, and she used to have to pay. And she must have sent someone to the dressing room to go. I told her, if you have to pay to go in, I'm not going to play. And I'm going to tell the coach, because our parents at least should be able to get in free. And at that stage, I became a revolutionary when it came to football, because I showed you the paper where Dr. Lou Simmons, hey, cuz, love you to the bone. You know that, Lou. We boycotted the national team, and for specific reasons, because we had been robbed when we were representing Bermuda. Our dressing room had been robbed, and we didn't get compensated properly when we got back to Bermuda. And for tournaments, we felt that we needed better preparation, because we went to Colombia as amateur players who has to go to work and come home and then go to train for your national team. That's from the love of it, because you love and have that passion for football. But we were competing against a lot of players who their team would take them away on an island and keep them secluded, and they'd be training, and they get to see the family maybe on weekends and stuff like that. But we were trying to get the Bermuda football fraternity to come up to the modern ages, look after the players better, insure the players. If I get injured while I'm playing for my country, take care of me. Make sure my family's provided for if I got a broken leg playing for Bermuda or something like that. We were trying to get stuff sorted out, but for some reason we didn't have enough support. So in that little clipping you saw where Lou and I boycotted was for those kind of reasons. Lack of proper preparation for tournaments, lack of compensation and representation for players.
So your dressing room got robbed, you said? Where was that?
That was in Venezuela. We were playing, I think it was Argentina, if I'm not mistaken.
Argentina? My team? My World Cup team?
Listen, before we went on to the pitch, there was military police at every 4 steps. Armed military soldiers. We were reassured by our managers, Shektor and these guys, that we can leave valuables or whatever in the dressing room. We go in the field. We get robbed because they gave the opponents a penalty late in the game, and we end up losing. I think it was 2-1. When we come off the field, the dressing room was scattered, clothes everywhere. There was not one soldier, not one military police around. So, we're wondering what's going on. But obviously, it had to be an inside job or something like that amongst the soldiers or something. But we got robbed. And when we got back to Bermuda, they just gave us a little something, and we had to accept it. But some people lost much more higher value material things than the money that we received, the compensation that the association gave us. You know, so it wasn't sharp. You know, so stuff like that, Lou and I was trying to help bring some unity and some player representation, some solidarity and player representation, you know. And we didn't get too much support, but we had it at that time, Lou and myself. And that was premature for me. A lot of people say, you know, because when I stopped playing, it was early. You know, I could have kept playing many more years competitively.
When you say early, what age?
I stopped in my early 30s, like 33. But I had won everything twice and some 3 times. And then international honors that I never set out to achieve. International experiences, football experiences that I never set out to achieve. For one, to play alongside the legend Ralph Gumbo Bean, my brother, to play alongside Joe Trott, George Prangman, these guys. Not only to play alongside them, to actually win a bronze medal with these guys, Richard and Robert Calderon, 2 great players, great gentlemen, on and off the pitch. You know, Cal D, Randy Bean, these guys, you know, they mentored me. So, you know, when you play with these guys, you learn so much from them. And then when you get the next crop of guys coming, all you want to do is make it easier for them, like these guys made it easier for me, you know? And that's what Lou and I was trying to do back then, but sometimes some people see things earlier than others.
What about, did you have any battles with him? Because he was one of our greats.
Who's that, Lou?
Goalkeepers. Yeah, very acrobatic, I remember that.
Yes, Lou was the character that, when it was a corner, I'll never forget. Get away from here, get out of here. And you know, Lou was always hands-on. And he'll go up for a ball and he'll kick the ball and say, all right, get out of here. You know what I mean? Lou commanded his area. You get goalkeepers not so commanding of that 18-yard box. Lou took charge of his area. You understand? Lou was a fierce competitor. One of the best goalkeepers ever put on the jersey for Somerset Cricket Club and for Bermuda. Llewellyn, big respect, cuz. Yeah.
Did you ever score against him?
I don't remember scoring against Lou, you know. And if I did, I might have scored a penalty if I'm not. But Lou was a fierce, fierce competitor. Fierce competitor. I remember scoring against Wayne Battlefield when Wayne went to Somerset and Bully Beef, but I don't recall against Cousin Lou. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lou.
And also, you know, going back to your early days, you know, you're talking about, you know, you go watch football, not only play it as a youngster, but you go watch, you know, the seniors at the time.
Sure.
Who were some of those who, you know, inspired you, some of the players in your childhood? Oh, wow. Outside of your brother?
Outside of my brother, okay, like I said, first of all, him, yeah? Then you had guys like Anthony Toe Deal. Toe Deal used to play for Social Club. You had guys like, I'm from Somerset, Richard Dirt Simmons. Have mercy. The volley specialist. Richard Dirt Simmons, the volley specialist, bless his soul. You had guys like Willis Twinkle Toes Can from Devonshire Colts. You understand? You had guys like Gary Darrell. Now, I also saw Gary play in America because Ralph Gumbo played for Philadelphia Atoms in America, the North American Soccer League, him and Pinks Lewis. So I saw Gary and Stanfield Smith played it for the same North American League back in the early days, just before Pele came over and Beckenbauer and those guys. So yeah.
Wow. What was those days like? I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah, that was awesome to see my brother play out there and then him and Pinks and then to see other Bermudians play. And at that time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, earlier Randy Horton was Rookie of the Year for the New York Cosmos. Yeah, Randy Horton used to play for New York Cosmos, for those who don't know. Yeah. So, matter of fact, Grandmother Cat Sam Newsom, in a book I've read that Pele spoke about goalkeepers, and he said one of the best goalkeepers he's ever played with was Samuel Newsom. And the reason he said Sam kept the game flowing. you know, goalkeepers collect the ball and they're telling everybody go out and, you know, killing the game. Sam would collect the ball and have the ball to the fullback and the game's flowing. So Pele liked that. So he commended Sam in a book, and I probably still have it in my collection, in my archives collecting dust. But yeah.
I see it. Sam, Gary, Dale Russell.
Oh, my cousin Dale. God have mercy. I went to Philadelphia. The university I went to was just outside of Philadelphia. Dale was at Textiles, but then he was playing for Philadelphia Fever later. So Dale, we used to go down and watch Dale at the Fever, and he used to tear him up. You hear me? Dale used to tear him up. Dale was dynamite. You hear me? Dale played. A lot of people don't know either. Dale played for the U.S. national team at one time. That's right. I remember having you used to get those football books, World Soccer and Football Weekly. But I had a World Soccer with the U.S. national team on it, and Dale's in that picture. They wore red and white. I'll never forget it. Yeah. So Dale was phenomenal. Wow. Dale was phenomenal. Dale, my coach had the college coach had a club team, and I ended up playing with Dale with the club team too. They called them Caribbean Kickers, the name of the team. But yeah, Dale was phenomenal. Down in Philadelphia, well loved. Top drawer player. Top drawer.
And who's your favorite team? Football team? Club team? England or elsewhere?
Well, you know, I gotta support my fellow footballer and my fellow countryman. Sean came from Village, so I support City. That's where Sean went. So when I moved to Manchester, definitely I'm supporting City. Wow. But I've been watching over the last 4 years so. I've been watching Crystal Palace. I've been telling guys about Michael Olise, Abarichi Eze, this guy, center half good, and other players like this guy, Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal. I've been telling guys about these guys, because I talk to a few guys when I'm overseas. And guys like, who are these players, Mal? And I say, watch out for these guys, okay? If you know I'm telling you watch out, you better watch out. You better not cry. Because Mal B's telling you these guys are deadly. And so said, these guys come through and shine. Look at this guy, Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Look at this guy, Nico Williams.
Young.
Look at this guy, Endrick from Brazil. But Real Madrid again. Vinicius Jr. I've been calling my roommate Todd and say, hey, watch out for these guys. And it's strictly United, you know. So, you know, we had that battle. But I think this year, now forgive me, people, if you're City supporters, but I'm going to have to put City on the back burner, and I'm changing my team to Crystal Palace. I'm sorry, I love the way they play. I love the fluidness, and I'm an underdog man. I like the underdog. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
Go for the champions all the time.
Me too. You know, it must have been a proud moment for you, though, to see Goda out there in Manchester City.
Oh, man.
Do what he did with City.
Oh, he's a legend.
And you played with him.
He's a legend.
You played with him.
They love him in England. They love Sean at City. They love him. Fans, all you have to say is, Sean Goda, feed the goat.
Feed the goat.
And he will score. They finish your saying. They finish the saying for you.
Yep.
So he's well respected. So we salute you, my brother, fellow teammate. Go.
And you saw that talent firsthand, though, at Village.
At Village. At him as a youngster. Andrew Bascom as a youngster.
Oh.
Herbie Bascom as a youngster. All them young boys, David Bascom as a youngster.
Yes.
They all came underneath, behind me at North Village. Mm-hmm. And they all had their own character, their own style.
Streaker and Cantuan.
Streaker, Cantuan Jennings, Kofi Deal, Ralph Bean Jr. Oh, man.
And then this year, they're league and FA champions.
Listen, I got a nephew, man. He's dynamite. He's not only a great human being, Bean, but he's his father's child. Ralph Bean Jr., he's a great football player, great person. Love you, nephew, man. You know that.
Indeed.
For life, for life, for life.
Actually, the other things that stood out for me that warmed my heart at your brother's homegoing service was not only Bumler, his tribute and dance, but before then, Ralph Bean Jr., his tribute to his dad.
Spoke well, didn't he?
It just,
Intelligence.
then you came and gave your heart to the Lord.
Yes, yes, yes.
I just bowled.
Yes.
I bowled right on this.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, look, I got.
Well, it's been overdue. It's been overdue, you know. Sometimes you knock at the door, but you don't go in. I've been knocking at the door for a long time. Now, finally, I'm going in. So we give God the glory, and we're thankful for that.
And it's a coincidence. I bumped up into Bishop Lamb
Look at that.
at shopping center earlier today.
Just served yesterday. So Bishop, big up to you. Big up.
Yeah. That, you know, I mean, that was a whole day for me of just paying of a celebration.
Yes.
You know, I celebrated my
Yes.
daughter's life.
Yes.
I celebrated your brother's life and their legacies. You know, and it's hard to put in words what I went through emotionally that day.
Yeah.
But in its own way, it was also beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I like, you know, in order to see your loved ones again, if you want to, you must get it right with your life. You know what I mean? And bit by bit, I've been trying to get it together, and with the power of the Most High Creator, you know, it's been there. Guide my steps. Guide my steps. From the day I left Bermuda, he put one foot in front of the next for me. And, you know, it's like, all I had to do was just hold his hand and be guided. So I've seen the works. No one didn't tell me. I've seen the works.
And you were among
I've been a part of it.
you were among a few that made that choice.
Yeah.
That big step that day.
Well, it's a step that I hope one day everybody can feel happy to make, you know, because it's a happiness, it's a joy inside that surpasses. It surpasses.
Well, your mom planted the seed early.
Well, my mom planted that seed, you know. Often I think back and I'm touched because, you know, she used to call me the prodigal son. That's because I always was running around down the hill playing football, come home just long enough to get a snack. And I used to eat a lot of cereal, see, and peanut butter. Oh, I was crazy over peanut butter and cereal. So my mom took me doctor one day and said, hey, what's wrong with this guy, Doc? I cook good food every day and he don't eat. The doctor looked at her, checked me out. Said, don't worry, Miss Bean. What he's eating, I used to eat cornmeal, cream of wheat, that kind of cereal. Not that, all that sweet stuff like cornflakes and Cheerios, and I ate porridge, cereal. You know what I'm saying? Home-cooked cereal. And Mama's homemade bread with peanut butter on it. And I ate that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And she said, something's wrong with him, doctor. He won't eat any peas and rice and chicken and macaroni. And doctor said, when it's ready, you eat that. But because what he's eating has enough nutrition in it, leave him, he'll be all right. So now, I can't even take the smell of peanut butter. Eating it all those years.
Yeah, that happens.
Can't even take the smell. I got about 4 bottles my daughter bought back in the cabinet in the UK. And got the steel on it. You know, that's life.
You mentioned going down the hill. That's your agent. Everyone's saying you should be in training.
This phone don't stop since I've been here.
So,
20 days of non-stop ringing.
you're stealing the man, see?
No.
You're stealing the man. They won that 3 minutes.
You know what? Everybody needs a 3 minutes of fame. And you try and give it to everybody, but, you know, you could put a piece of yourself there. That's what you wish.
We're gonna wrap it up soon. But you just mentioned on the hill, and I'm thinking, you know, you go down the hill there,
Right.
St. Monica's Mission, and there's the desert, and that's where we used to play in the old desert field.
That's where we started.
Yeah.
But first, let me correct that. Sorry. We started. Oh, why don't you take a break, somebody, please? Please. We started at, turn it off. We started at Frog Lane. We used to share the field with Devonshire Coach and Centaurs.
Frog Lane.
And Centaurs.
Yes.
So it was 3 teams on that pitch. And then we were at the desert. And let me tell you, at the desert, man, that's where you learn skill and competitiveness. Because we trained, it could be a hurricane. It's still training. And everybody turns up. We turn up down there, the desert used to be swamped out. Training session still goes on. Because in a match, you play in all sorts of conditions. It could be thunder and lightning with training. And that's the way Dr. and Lord bless his soul, that's the way we came up at North Village. You know, that brought us together. It was fun. And it taught us to play under all kinds of conditions and circumstances. And we were playing right next to the dump, the pond.
Yep.
You know, so, I mean, we were what you want to call pawn rats. You know what I mean? And we learned our trade right there at the desert. That's it.
I never schooled at the desert, by the way. I never schooled, but I love Frog Lane. I just love that venue. For some reason, I always schooled there.
Well, you know what? It's strange about Frog Lane because I lived a stone throw from Frog Lane. So that was a pitch that I would often go and do a lot of my homework training. You understand? I would go to Frog Lane and go out there just to run laps around the field. Just me. I would go Frog Lane with an old friend of mine. He knows who I'm talking to. And he would stand in goal and I would shoot at him. You know, and taking free kicks and penalties and stuff. That was the old Frog Lane, well before National Stadium was thought of to be where it is today. You understand? So places like Frog Lane and Devonshire, those were the neighborhood pitches that we would play on growing up. And down Devonshire, I mean, you had that neighborhood and you had an abundance of skill. You had Devonshire Cougars players, you had North Village players, you had Boulevard players, and all lived in that same area. And knock-off time, everybody's having a kicking on the same field. So you're playing with those players and against those players. So it was all competitive fun.
Still on Frog Lane, Colts' venue.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier there were some Colts players that snitched. I think you said brother, so I think you might have let the cat out of the bag.
No, I don't know what they know. I don't know what they know. Hopefully you don't know what I know.
But look, before we go, I just want you sure. What advice would you give to any up and coming footballer out there?
Firstly, I would say, man,
You can look them right there in the camera. Look
I
right
would
at
say
them.
firstly, honor your mother and your father, man. You know, children, youngsters, pay attention to your parents. Don't play around in school. Do the best you can in school if you want to have a proper career and a proper life. And then secondly, anything you endeavor, put your heart and your passion into it because you can achieve it. I look at myself as a Bermudian. When I competed anywhere outside of Bermuda, I had that confidence because I put in the work. So if you put the work in, you're going to get the results. So I encourage the youngsters to stay in school. Be good people. Don't get caught up in the negativity and strive for progression, upliftment. Yeah? Yes, sir.
Well said. Well said. Brother Mel,
Yes,
it's a
sir.
pleasure, an honor to have you here.
Pleasure's mine, brother.
Here's a visit.
Pleasure's mine.
Wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you, bro.
And safe travels back here. And next time I'm across the pond, I'm going to look you up.
You make sure you do, bro. Make sure
right.
you do. We go have a pint or two.
I drink plenty of water.
That's what I'm talking about.
Plenty of water. Plenty of water.
A pint of ginger ale.
I don't even do soda.
No.
Just water.
You know what?
Just water.
That's good because, you know, there's too much additives and stuff nowadays. So, you know, I do a lot of ginger tea.
I have a little coffee. That's it.
No, I don't even drink coffee. I drink like a ginger. Ginger's good.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. 'Cause
I'll try my best.
You're
bro.
looking great.
I'll try my best.
Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this program just as much as I have. And before I go, I just want to give out special shout outs, first and foremost, to our sponsors, to our co-producers, Crimson Multimedia, and last but not least, you, the viewing audience. And I just want to encourage you to keep tuning in, because we've got lots of wonderful plans in store for you all. And we always look forward to you joining us right here on Up Close with yours truly, Colin Thompson.